I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today, we're reading from the book of Romans, chapter 2. Let's focus on verse 4. Or do you presume on the riches of his kindness and forbearance and patience, not knowing that God's kindness is meant to lead you to repentance? But because of your hard and impenitent or unrepentant heart, you are storing up wrath for yourself on the day of wrath when God's righteous judgment will be revealed. Now, on most days, my children are adorable and simply a joy to be around. But on other days, come on, let's be honest, parents, not so much. And that doesn't surprise me, shouldn't surprise you. When I was a teenager and I expressed frustration, adults would just say, oh, he's just going through a phase. And I would get so mad. Get so mad at that result. You just dismissed all of my feelings. Yeah, they did. And I was like, you don't know me. And I hate to say it, but that whole phase thing is entirely accurate. Kids have behavioral seasons. They have observant parents, and they know when we enter and when we exit from these seasons. You know, a secret to being a good parent, which I don't claim to have mastered, is to become a student of your children. Watch them. Get to know them. You'll see how when they're changing. Wow, he doesn't do this anymore. Oh, he started doing that. You study their likes and their dislikes. It helps to forecast their seasons. Part of being a good parent is knowing your kids. It's also part of being a good friend. You know, one of the best ways to gauge a relationship with a person is how well people select gifts for each other. Gifting shows how well somebody knows you, and the value of a gift is not necessarily the expense of the gift, rather how appropriate that the gift is, because a gift's appropriateness is based upon a person's knowledge of you. I'm horrible at gift giving. My wife is great at it. People will open a gift my wife gives them and they're like, oh my gosh, and they'll start crying. They're like, you so know me. And I'm like, really? It looks like a hairband to me. But then they open a gift that I got and they're like, oh, a hammer. Thanks. God watches his children closely, much better than I watch them. Sometimes he disciplines harshly, and other times he'll give you mercy. And it's all based upon his infinite wisdom and what it determines that we need for healthy development. And children need to know that their parents have their best interests in mind. And the Lord gives us much more grace than he does harsh discipline if we're honest with ourselves. A legitimate concern for any parent is that their children will perceive grace as a reward for bad behavior. And this is precisely what Paul is warning the believers in Rome about. For God had one thing in mind, and always does, regarding all people, that they would come unto repentance. And his first approach is to offer grace. His kindness was meant to lead you to repentance. It wasn't meant to give you more time to keep sinning. So to all who will accept his grace, he freely offers salvation. But to those who refuse or they abuse his grace, they blow it off, well, he disciplines them more and more harshly. Why? Because trauma brings desperation. Desperation demands urgent solutions. And then here comes Jesus, the ultimate and only solution for humanity's sin debt to God. The overriding intent for God-directed desperation, and yes, he does direct it, is that we would recognize and worship him. That's what he's trying to get us to. And although God knows precisely who will accept or reject him, he loves us, and he never stops trying to reach us through both mercy and through pain. You see, nothing is beyond his ability to gain our attention. So just skip the unnecessary desperation and surrender your life to Jesus as Lord. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Now, Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people just like you. And yes, we need your monthly support. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. You can share these podcasts with friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.